Okay. I'm going to jump right into this and keep things as simple as possible. When I say in the title that these are raw notes, that is absolutely true. These are the raw notes. I'm going to give very little additional commentary in order to get it all out. Um, I've had these notes sitting on my phone as they were generated, as I read the authorized biography of Anton LaVey, written by his paramour at the time, Blanche Barton, and published by Feral House in 1992. Hello to Jeff Petty in the live chat, first in the live chat. Um, these were notes that were taken for myself so that I could go back and, put together, potentially put together bigger pieces about them. But what I thought would be worthwhile is if I just get them all on the record, because what ends up happening sometimes is I have an intention to work on a bigger piece. I have an intention to work on a larger video, and it doesn't come to fruition. So what I'm gonna do is, they're fairly voluminous. So if I run through them at a clip, I mean, there's gonna be a couple of different ways to enjoy these. Number one, you can enjoy them as kind of stream of consciousness, cut up, experimental, uh, spoken word performance art. If you have a fair amount of background and information, either in the subject itself or knowledge of me and my channel and the subjects and thoughts and ideas that I often talk about, you'll probably be able to infer and put into place kind of the points, or the larger, put things into context, for want of a better word. Um, and yeah, or else you might just find it, entirely confusing. But at least, the subjects will have been broached, and then when we come back at a later date, hopefully, we'll be able to flesh these out. I think if I were to read them purely as is, um, without any context, it would just be pure spoken word kind of cut up nonsense. If you hadn't already read the biography, if you didn't already have a history of studying as an insider slash outsider the Church of Satan or Anton LaVey, it would just be pure confusion. So I think, look up from time to time and put loose statements in context. And I will try and kind of put bigger thematic premises or theses uh, under review, and and embolden them in some way, so that you'll kind of understand where I'm talking about, what I'm coming from. I will give a brief introduction in the form of this. Um, Anton LaVey was the founder of the Church of Satan in 1966, the so-called Black Pope. There's a lot of mythology around Anton LaVey, and a lot of people find his dark persona very captivating and intriguing. He has adversaries and allies both inside and outside the realms of the so-called left-hand path or satanic community. Um, some people regard him as a joke. Some people have problems with him because of his theistic or cosmological positions or lack thereof. Some people have problems with him because of political feelings about certain things that happened with the Church of Satan and certain decisions that he made at the helm. Certain people, outsiders, skeptics, just think of the whole thing as nonsense. And some people just think of the man as a charlatan. Um, we will say this, is that I will acknowledge the fact that the philosophy of the Church of Satan and the philosophy of Anton LaVey has been something has been fascinating to me in my life, and has definitely had more or less an impact on me. And I would never want to take that away from the memory of the man. Having said that, part of the growth process in life, I think, is looking at and re-examining past heroes, putting them in proper context, and allowing your knowledge and information about a person to grow and inform your opinion. When I was a heavy metal high schooler, Anton LaVey probably seemed like the pinnacle of all that a man could be, right? A man's man, his own man, um, self aware, self integrated, knowledgeable, informed, powerful, um, and all those things. And much like the objective philosophy of Ayn Rand, that certainly forms a cornerstone of Anton LaVey's philosophical outlook. Um, in over time, I outgrew that shit, right, and kind of realized how psychologically unintegrated it is, and how kind of naturally enfeebling a lot of objective philosophy is. If you're an objectivist, I can understand. Uh, Objectivism is something which can be debated, and to me is not philosophically sound. Hold on. No big deal. So, and much like Ayn Rand's objectivity, if you're 16 years old, 17 years old, and you read The Fountainhead and it changes your life, I feel as though that's completely acceptable. But if you get to the age of 24, 25, and you haven't really relegated that philosophy or that kind of mindset to a very specific, kind of place in your brain, um, then there might be something wrong with you. To be completely honest, Anton LaVey's. I think the only other thing that I'm going to say is um, I'm not a real fan of Anton LaVey today. Um, I think the thing is, and we'll go through, and I think my critiques and my natural critiques of him will kind of come out. But here's some big theses that you can watch for. Um, Number one, his entire biography is completely bullshit. The whole notion of him having a love affair with Marilyn Monroe has been debunked better by other people online. You can look Anton LaVey fraud or Anton LaVey debunked, and you can get yourself through that information. Poking holes. And when we get to my notes, I'll show you that there are the specific things that he lied, like simple things that he lies about in his biography, that are just lame. You know what I mean? To lie about oneself, to make oneself out to be something bigger than you are. It's a con. Look, I mean, I think I want to talk about this, and then we'll just jump into the notes, where we'll be here all day, and we don't want to be here all day. The magician's trade, to make change, the working of ritual magic, ceremonial magic, or in the moment magic, however you understand it, and however you define the terms or the titles of those who practice those endeavors: magician, witch, shaman, occultist, practitioner, mystic, whatever, sorcerer. Um, Making change happen in accordance with one's will. Those activities and actions can be undertaken and can be seen in a variety of different contexts. There are some people, woo-woo, who believe that the changes and transformations that happen are actual and occurs as the result of the intercession of superior spirits, higher spirits, mystical or supernatural forces. There are some people who understand magic as I do, and this is definitely a lasting influence from Anton LaVey in my life, that understand the magic, the transformative aspect of magic, the actualized form of magic, as being more to do with psychology, both the workings with one's own psychological state and manifestation of higher states of consciousness naturally through focusing and meditations and actions and yogas, and also just working with the psychology of other people. I put a spell on you because you're mine. Will the subject accept the spell? Will they resist? How does the magician explain, or the witch explain or understand these failures or successes? It is what it is. Magic, that sort of magic can also be equally applied to. You gotta be kidding me. Stop calling. Remember. Um, can equally be understood in the context of simple chicanery, con artistry, or stage magic and craft. The benign stage magician who works with sleight of hand, psychological manipulation, to effect a change and a transformation and an illusion, right? The motivation being to entertain, to uh, imbue life with a sense of wonder. There's a benignness to that. The same sort of tricks and activities can be engaged in con artistry, table tapping, faked psychic phenomena in order to relieve the victim of their purse, their monies, their their suspicions, to con people, to trick people, right? These are not the droids you're looking for. A simple trick that allows the hero, the protagonist, to continue their hero's journey. All you got to do is give me $5. $5. It's a simple investment. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to turn that $5 into $10. I'm not going to turn it into $20. I'm not going to turn it to $25. I'm telling you that within 2 weeks, I'll turn your $5 into $500. In 2 weeks, that dude is gone, giving that same pitch to another individual. Tricks, chicanery, sleight of hand. Find the lady in red. Find the lady in red. Find the lady in red. One good guess gets you the pot. Who's going to be the lucky person today? Who's going to take all my money? Step right up, step right up, step right up, folks. The inside this tent is the most amazing, the most spectacular, the most wonderful sights and illusions and images and women that you've ever seen. They will astound your mind. They will boggle your spirit. You will walk away changed and transformed. And the whole notion of Anton LaVey's history as a carnival barker and all the things he learned there. At the end of the day, you can learn all the carnival barking tricks you want to, and you can take all the money from the rubes. You're still a fucking thief. You're still a fucking hustler. And I don't have much love for hustlers and thieves, or gangsters, mafiosos. Just don't. But you may be of a different opinion. Let me consider the stage set, for better or for worse. And let me simply go through my notes. These are my raw notes. I read the book while sitting on the shitter. I took notes on my iPhone just so that I could come back and hopefully branch them out into bigger commentary and bigger pieces. Some of these individual paragraphs and notes might turn into larger subjects. Some of them may turn out to be abortions, just not worth the time of day of going back and thinking about. Some of them might be incorporated in together. Some of them may be left on the wayside. And some of these notes may never have see the light of day in any other context than this context right here. So in order to see that all of these notes don't go absolutely nowhere, we will put them on the public record today so that people aren't totally lost. I will give some simple context to the notes that I made, not trying to branch out into full discussions, but just simple narrative notes to make it a little bit palatable or understandable. and we jump right in. And to any potential critics, I will say the following. I have given you the explanations for what this video is and is not. Hello to Spooky, hello to Jonaside, hello to Michelle Embry, and everyone, Planet Lupa, Charles Williamson, and everyone else in the chat, Juicy J, everyone and their mother. Welcome to the show. I have told you what this video is and what this video is not. So if a criticism or critique comes up and says, and this is like satanic fair play. If the critique or the critique comes up that these statements are disjointed or don't fully flesh out my point of view or the such, fuck you, idiot. Are you stupid? Can you not hear? Do you comment upon videos before you read them out? If so, you are no better than anyone you would presumably critique or criticize as a sheeple. Your mom. Satanism is stupid. You know, the philosophy, the underlying, and I've read everything by Anton LaVey. If you are influenced by Anton LaVey, that's completely fair. If you're a devotee or a disciple, or you think the Church of Satan is a way of life, I think you probably can do better. It's disjointed, it's nonsensical, and it's stupid. It's dumber than Christianity. It really is. I mean, it's lame. It's lame. If you're a kid, it's okay. If you're over the age of 25 and you're still into this shit, you're Marilyn Manson stupid. You know what I mean? And that's just the way that it goes. That's my personal opinion, of course. Without further ado, and having offended everybody, LaVey's biography, Truth/Lies, ? In parentheses, P.T. Barnum / The First Spell. We went over this, and background is my notion of the first spell is the lie, right? What is the first making change happen in accordance with one's will that the child learns? Who did this? Did you do this? Did you? No, I didn't do it. You blame the magic fairy. You still get in trouble. You blame your brother and sister. You may just get away with it, making change happen in accordance with one's will. But of course, the child does not have the moral and ethical compulsions, and knowledge is not charged with the moral and ethical knowledge that the adult is. The adult should know. If you lie about your biography, make yourself out to be a bigger person than you are, even if you trick people, you're still a fucking loser who has to lie about yourself. If a person is a compulsive liar about who they are, doesn't matter how many actual other amazing things they have got going on. If they lie about their biography, they're lame. And they're sad. If you never had sex with Marilyn Monroe, but you go out of your way to make people think that you did, there's something you're ashamed of. And it's silly. Percent that is not about him, but his tastes, externals. The second half. This is what I mean. What the critique of the biography is this: you read a biography of Ramakrishna, or you read a biography of Joseph Smith, or you read a biography of Aleister Crowley, to be on point. It's shit that these motherfuckers have done. Wherever Aleister Crowley ended up at the tail end of his life, in between he climbed the mountains, was certified as a chess master, traveled the fucking world, and fucked everything. Dudes, pussy. Dudes, pussy. Aleister Crowley was out there dipping his wick in everything, including the kitchen sink. Anton LaVey, God bless him, hung out in a house, was married twice, and ended up with Blanche Barton, who was, a fairly okay-looking chick. But then again, I'm into fatties. The second half of Anton LaVey's authorized official biography is just a recapitulation of his philosophy, What do I bring up that point for? There's nothing to write about Anton LaVey. He lived, breathed, and died in a fucking black painted house looking like a Halloween spook in San Francisco. God bless you. God bless you. Boring life, no Crowley acts past the witness exists. The guy didn't do fucking shit. Anton LaVey. Page 165. He used the emerald tablets of Thoth for an official ritual. Page 165 is 165 of the biography. The emerald tablets of Thoth are some of the silliest white brotherhood, Helena Blavatsky influenced nonsensical bullshit that has ever come about. The fact that Anton LaVey used them for an official ritual shows that Anton LaVey did not have good discernment as to what was real and what was fake when it came to ancient spiritual information and knowledge. Could the guy have been a fan of Zechariah Sitchin and the concept of Nibiru? Easily, if he falls for the emerald tablets of Thoth, which are on their face redonkulous. Page 173 to 174. Last first paragraph, foolishness about body temperature, cites Lysenko and Lamarckian evolution. What I'm pointing out here is that why that was interesting to me is that if you read The Complete Witch or The Satanic Witch, that it was later titled by Anton LaVey, there's all this nonsensical stuff about body types, mesomorphic versus other body types and what it means. And he cites Lysenko, who was like the ridiculousness of Lysenko's biology and biological theories knows no bounds. When people critique the Soviet Union and the perils and the pitfalls of communism, they bring up the fact that these guys believed in this guy Lysenko, who thought things like, it was like one of these play classical music to wheatgrass and it grows faster, or what I mean, if all this bullshit. And Lamarckian evolution is just a dead end. He's been disproven. So what do I point out there? That Anton LaVey was a fan of quack scientific theories at best. Page 181, pure cult shame ritual. I'd have to go back to the actual biography, but I remember it vaguely. And it was one of these, everybody gathers around in a circle and the person starts to defend themselves, and then everyone tells them what's wrong with them. And the point of this is to confront, the darkness within, or the darkness. It's a pure cult sham ritual that you'll see in Scientology, or you'll see anywhere else. So if the Church of Satan wants to go around acting like they're not a fucking cult, even though they're a fucking failure as an organization, we got rid of the grotto system because it was no longer necessary for us to work in groups. Now, you got rid of the grotto system because Anton LaVey's dream of forming a new religion fucking failed. It's a mail order fan club for heavy metal kids. That's all it'll ever be, and a bunch of losers hanging out pretending to be cooler than they are. Church of Satan means I have no friends. Chapter 16. Androids announced by Anton LaVey in 1979. He was really into this concept of androids. And so these next notes, a lot of it has to do with my personal theories about the 20-year nostalgia loop. So I'm just going to, if you don't have background in my work on the 20-year nostalgia loop, I don't know what to do to help you. You can research it, but I'm going to read this note out kind of as is, because I don't know how to do it's too, the way that it was structured by me is too personal to me. So if you're a fan of my channel, you'll probably get this. If you don't, my condolences. Maybe we'll be able to flesh this out at a later point. Chapter 16, Androids announced 1979. 20-year nostalgia loop, which is a pet theory of mine. 1999, Real Dolls and The Matrix. Futurama, Don't Have Sex with Robots. There was a Futurama episode called Don't Have Sex with Robots. 2019, this is the 40-year nostalgia loop. Now you get Westworld, original back, and film ? That was a note to myself. Documentary about robots just seen. Asian men marrying robots and avatars. Page 1. So that's like me basically saying, say what you want about, I'll give the devil credit where it's due. Anton LaVey may have been onto something regarding the coming of androids and android companions. Having said that, are you going to really tell me that Isaac Asimov, um, what's his name? Not Harry Belafonte, the guy who wrote I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream. Anyway, I mean, successfully predicting the fact that people will be into coming up with sex robots. I'm going to call that like a pretty easy get. You know what I mean? Uh, Page 193, Jacques Vallée. He refers to Jacques Vallée as a close personal friend. He cites his book, The Network Revolution. Jacques Vallée is a ufologist, and it's wackiness. Walt Disney animatronics and Cabbage Patch Kids, not mentioned, but current ultra realistic baby dolls, like these reborn dolls that they make. So that's me talking about and referring to Anton LaVey's belief about the prevalence of Philip K. Dick, the wonderment of androids. Inquire Within points out the Fembots from Austin Powers right on the 20-year nostalgia loop. So look, you know what I mean? Look, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? There you go. Trump MAGA hat says LARPer Jacques. It's good that we have a Trump's MAGA hat in the audience. Take care, Jasmine Emmerich. Thank you for coming by. Here we go. Chapter 17, page 196. Fox Theater, San Francisco. Last concert was 1963, not 60. And Jane Russell and other A-listers played, not Anton. So this is me. This was me just cataloging a lie. Anton LaVey claims that he played the last night of the Fox Theater, famous theater house in San Francisco, that he played organ on the last night in 1960, and it makes much ado of his biography that he achieved this. Debunked. Anton LaVey, lame, lame, lame. Little boys lie and say they're superheroes. Little kids lie, little kids lie. I played organ at the last night of the Fox Theater. No, you didn't. Lying sack of shit, lapdog loser. Have some pride, Anton LaVey. You did amazing things in your life, like make a crazy scale model of New York City in your kid's room, and you're a little boy. Awesome. Awesome. Not dweebish at all. Anyway, so here we go. His claim that he played the last night of the San Francisco Fox Theater is 100% false. The Fox Theater in San Francisco's last concert was 1963, not 1960. Jane Russell and other A-listers played, not Anton LaVey. You can get a listing of the people who played the last night at the Fox Theater. It was an all-star cast, and he was not on the bill because he's not who he claims to be. Page 197. The next thing is just like a series of lies that he told. Page 197 of his biography claims that he was a guest on the Lou Gordon show, that he cursed Lou Gordon in 1969 because Lou Gordon disrespected him. First of all, you're cursing people to die because they disrespect you. Fucking lame. You know what I mean? And Lou died. Okay, so let me just read this. Page 197, he claims that Lou Gordon, he was a guest on the Lou Gordon show. He cursed him in 1969, and Lou died within a year. False. Lou Gordon died in 1977. Also calls his show Hot Seat. No, just a phrase segment. So on page 197 of Anton LaVey's official biography, this loser lies about himself. Anton LaVey was a fucking shut-in loser. Okay? Played a hell of an organ, smart guy, great, wonderful. You know what I mean? But he was like a lame-o. He was bigger than me. He would have kicked my ass like back in the day, but that's like not a big deal. Like, I've seen cats that can beat my ass. And I'm not talking like tigers. I'm talking like, crossing the street because there's a weird looking feline. Like, ooh, look at that guy. Don't want no trouble. So he says that he was a guest on the Lou Gordon show called Hot Seat. The Lou Gordon show was not called Hot Seat. He claims that he was on that show in 1969, cursed Lou Gordon. Lou Gordon died within a year. It's not true. Lou Gordon died in 1977. So I debunked Anton LaVey with Wikipedia. And here's what happened. The official biography of Anton LaVey was published in 1992. Here's the problem that Anton LaVey's legacy is going to have. Wikipedia and the internet. Back in the day, you could come up with all these amazing fucking bullshitty lies about yourselves, whether you're Anton LaVey or L. Ron Hubbard or a host of other would-be gurus. You could just like bullshit your way like from here to like San Francisco, right? Just no problem. But in today's day, in the age of the internet, a guy can sit on the shitter, read your biography, and with his phone go, oh, that's an interesting thing that can be fact-checked. Oh, look at that. Anton LaVey lied. 1979, Joe Pine's show was actually called Hot Seat. This is Joe Pine, is another right-wing guy that Anton LaVey had a famous encounter with. Anton LaVey was on TV like 4 times. He was on with Joe Pine. He like did a couple of radio, appearances. He was on on Geraldo once, like Geraldo. Okay. He was like not like world famous. Like honestly, today, like, he's got as much like indie cred and fame as like the late great, who's that guy? Gigi Allen. 1970 Joe Pine show was actually called Hot Seat. The vid is available of Anton LaVey. You can see how impressive he is as a dude. But Bio calls it a radio show. Says Pine died same year post curse. Meanwhile, why are you cursing all these people who have you on your show and they just disagree with you, loser? Pine did die in 1970, but Anton appeared in the TV show in 1967, not 1970, thanks YouTube, verified by FilmCan. So Anton LaVey claims that he was a guest on the Joe Pine show. He claims that he was on the Joe Pine radio show. He was actually on the TV show. He claims that Joe Pine disrespected him, so he cursed him, and that Joe Pine died within the year. But in order to make that lie a truth, Anton LaVey's appearance has to be in 1970. But Anton LaVey did not appear on Joe Pine's show in 1970. He appeared in 1967. So this is the official biography, okay? And that's not the difference between a misprint of saying 1975 when it was actually 76. He was on there in 67. Joe Pine made fun of him because Joe Pine made fun of everybody. I hear you like dogs. Kind of strange for a man to like dogs. He made fun of everybody. And so you curse him. Oh no, Anton LaVey is going to curse me. Oh no. So like, it's just, they verified, they found the film can with the interview on it, and the film can says 1967, not 1970. So suck a dick, ghost of Anton LaVey. Page 168, Anton LaVey claims that he was his second wife. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, here's the thing. If Anton LaVey is a magician, like was a practitioner of black magic, he was a lame one. He was bad. And I have two good examples that will get fleshed out. Number one, he claims famously that he accidentally caused the death of James Mansfield. Why? Because he was performing, a ritual, a curse or something, and had accidentally, while he was good friends with Jane Mansfield. This is verifiable. He had no relationship to Marilyn Monroe that can be verified, but he can be verified that he had a long-term relationship, whether it was sexual or not, with Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield died in an auto accident where she was decapitated. After the fact, Anton LaVey created this very mystical, mythological story that he had accidentally caused the death of Jane Mansfield because he accidentally cut through it, that her photo was on the backside of a newspaper or a magazine that he was clipping out for ritual purposes, and that he accidentally cut across her neck while he was, doing this. If you are a black magic practitioner and you accidentally kill a good personal friend, number one, it shows that you're not fucking paying attention, right? Number two, it shows that you're reckless. Your magic is reckless. And number three, it shows if it was true that people, how many times do you think that people's photos get ripped up by ex-lovers in hatred? How many times do you think Polaroid photos or photos get thrown in the fire by people who really legitimately hate the person whose photo they are literally putting on fire as an effigy? That doesn't work. You believe in stupid shit. And also you're reckless. The other thing he claims is that his second wife divorced him, and he was pissed off poorly when the people under their thumb try to get away. But anywho, Anton LaVey claims that there was a shooting the day that he was supposed to be, he was served with divorce papers, and he didn't show up because he was making a stand against the authority of the government or some bullshit. He probably was fucking scared of what would happen, like, of having to go in front of a judge and being disrespected. The guy has obviously had very thin skin. He was also an economic and financial failure. When he died, he was living at somebody else's, behest in that famous black house. He couldn't afford to live there by himself. He was going to be evicted. So a real estate investor who was a fan and friend of his bought the place and allowed him to live there. They tore the place down immediately after he died and turned it into condos. And Anton LaVey's newborn kid that he had way too old, and Blanche Barton, his ex-paramour, ended up living in fucking Alphabet City in New York City. No offense. Real successful magic practitioner that guy was. Page 198, they talk about this. He talks about this massacre that occurred the day that he was supposed to get divorced. And so what he basically says is that he placed a curse on his soon-to-be ex-wife and like the courthouse. And the same day that he had placed that curse, there was like an unrelated shooting inside of a McDonald's that was the quote unquote worst massacre, up until that point in time. And I just want to say again, bad magician, right? You're trying to punish the courts, or you're trying to punish your soon to be ex-wife, and then this unrelated massacre happens. If there was a causal connection between your curse and that happening, why are you bragging about that? That's like me bragging about the other day I was hunting for quail. So I just started taking my shotgun and started going like this. And I shot something. My dog, Skeet. I guess I'm a good shooter. Came back with something that day. What an idiot to claim that as a magical success. But this is what a fucking loser does. This is Anton. If I was fucking Anton LaVey, if I could trade back, I'm telling you something. Not to toot my own horn, but to let some other gal do it for me. If I was Anton LaVey in 1967, I formed the Church of Satan, I'd be fucking everybody. And when you came out with my biography, it would be like this, and Will Chamberlain would say, my hat's off to that guy. I would be wrecking shop. Anton LaVey was lame. He couldn't fucking make it happen. Anyway, and what a lame ass curse. And all those innocent people who died inside the McDonald's, that you're going to claim they were a victim of your ritual magic. Your ritual magic, by definition, didn't work. Meanwhile, FY, in case you're curious, the great Anton LaVey's second wife is now living a quiet life as like a legal secretary somewhere, because she could give two fucks about this legacy of retardation that is Anton LaVey. Oh, and Anton LaVey's like son, who should wake up and realize, look, my dad was a real piece of work. Don't engage in empty hero worship of your father just because you fucking came out of his cock. Honestly. Get a fucking life. Let me read this again. Page 198, massacre true, but one cannot know the exact hour to be before a judge. Also, wild of the mark, bad curse work, just like Mansfield. Seems like a great reach to make it look good, exploiting the name similarity and date in question. I think like the name of the guy that did the murder, the massacre in McDonald's was like the same last name as the judge. Like, dude, okay. I use the same sort of ritual magic philosophy to time travel. You know what I mean? Diane lived to Palimony suit in 1988. Oh, yeah, she lived. Not only did Diane not get knocked out by this curse, she sued him successfully for palimony. She won in the case in 1988. Great work, Anton. Personal note: glamours wear off. Meaning this, you do this sort of ritual craft, this creative, inventive line, all of a sudden in a way that you couldn't have imagined in 1967 or 1988 when you were making up these fantastical tall tales about yourself. Mr. LeVay, wherever you are, you're nowhere, you're dead, you're an atheist. That's fine, that's beautiful. I'll go to the same place. The internet gets invented and people can fact check you and realize that this is ridiculous. Glamours wear off. If some provable claims are lies, why believe any of the others? Meaning, if this jabroni has to make up these nonsensical tall tales about the ritual killing of of causing the ritual massacre of these people, or he claimed also that he caused the LA riots. This is not in his biography. This is in a later work. They claimed they accidentally caused the LA riots because he was doing like a work for Mars, you know what I mean, or working with Saturnian energies on his little organ, you know. Also, have you ever heard the work of Anton LaVey? It's like it's like dungeon synth, you know what I mean? Uh, can you play better? Yes. Anyway, here we go. Um, so if the guy lies about these little things, there's no reason. Are you going to believe that the guy? Listen, if I ever had sex with Marilyn Monroe, like back in the day style, right? I would never lie about anything else ever again. And if people I would never write like a biography because I would know in my heart of hearts that once upon a time, Marilyn Monroe, right? You know what I mean? I would just be like, people would be like disrespecting me all day, and I'd just be smiling. They'd be like, "What are you smiling at, stupid?" I'd be like, "Nothing." They're like, "Get out of my way, loser." Not a problem. You look stupid. Yeah, I reckon I do. Why is that guy always smiling? Well, yeah, people who fucked Marilyn Monroe don't go around to graduate to like being like casting ritual magic to diss their ex-wife. They just let that girl go, right? See ya. Jay Roach with a donation of $2.99. Trump 2020 just plain. Well, we'll get to that. That's funny. Magic is true. Just check this out. Chapter 18, first page. And alt-right Proud Boys and Americanism is fascism. We'll have to. These notes will have to be fleshed out. They will not make sense here. I will just give them as is. Essentially, what I'm saying is that the objectivist influenced work of Anton LaVey, what he thinks is good, what he thinks is honorable, what he thinks should be maintained, could be seen in a lot of ways as setting the groundwork for alt-right Proud Boys. Meaning, this says this Anton LaVey had a fascism fetish. He did. He was half Jewish, but he loved Nazi regalia and all that crap. He did. He did. He talked about in one of his later works. Well, I don't know if it was The Devil's Notebook or he had another one that was published later on in like the late 1990s by Feral House. Rest in peace, Adam Parfrey. There's a little piece about Jewish Nazis. Like he wants Jewish Nazis to arise. I guess he's not an anti-Semite because he wanted the Nazis to be Jewish, but he's still a fucking fascist. He loved fascism. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And fascism is stupid. Communism is awesome. Love is great. Jesus Christ is powerful. You know what I mean? Love thy neighbor. Buddha is awesome. Krishna is great. And, Satan and like Hitler are jerks. The jerks. Anyway, chapter 18, blah, blah, blah. First page, an alt-right Proud Boys and Americanism as fascism. Since 1984, which was 36 years ago, equals 9. That's some numerical bullshit I was fucking around with. Like I said, I made these notes while on the shitter. Page 200, Halloween is more popular than Christmas. He makes this statement, the affirmative statement on page 200, that Halloween is more popular than Christmas. And he talks about the rise of kids that are into Satan. There's been an increase of kids that are into Satan. Yeah, in 1992, when heavy metal was like the white kid protest music of "I hate mom and dad, stupid hippies," right? I guess, but like, no. Halloween is not more popular than Christmas. Christmas is much more popular than Halloween. If you think that Halloween is more popular than Christmas, I love Halloween. And my Christmas looks like Halloween, right? I'm like all about that. Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas bullshit. I'm all about it, right? I have evil shit on my Christmas tree. Fuck it. I grew up paying attention to the work of Anton LaVey. I love Halloween, but I'm a minority person. Christmas is much more popular. Kids reading the Satanic Bible and then growing up into positions of power. This is what I said about the alt right. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Dark journalists. I guarantee you, dark journalists read Anton LaVey's works as from the Church of Satan and the Satanic Bible, and that's probably why he's stupid. God bless you, Daniel. Love you, son, child of God, child of goddess. Pages 203 to 204. No satanic cults before me. And this is the whole thing. Like, never before the Church of Anton LaVey formed the Church of Satan was there ever an organized religion dedicated to Satan. And that is like beyond debatable. Like, and what they really hang their hat on is that no one used the term Church of Satan. You know what I mean? That they were like underground little ceremonial cliques and cults and tontines or whatever you want to call it. But there was no like someone trying to make a religion of it. But then he goes on to talk about all the time about it not being a religion and being a philosophy. So it doesn't make any sense. And it's stupid. The Church of Satan's claim to be like and even if there were number one, that's like, Black Sabbath being like, we were the first heavy metal band. Okay, congratulations. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay. You were number one, right? Records were meant to be broken. There you go. And it's a debatable point about the first religion, especially when you think of things like the Yazidis and different Buddhist tantric cults and Hindu tantric cults and the cult of Kali. It's just, get out of town. It's just a lame claim. It's just stupid. And the Church of Satan is so lame. And if you think that Anton LaVey is a loser, the second guy in line, this guy Peter H. Gilmore, is a real dweeb. That fucking loser lives in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I guarantee you, if I'm lying, I'm dying. If I'm proven wrong, I'm proven wrong. He used to live in Alphabet City in New York City, which is a ghetto. And then he moved to Poughkeepsie, New York. Peter H. Gilmore did. How did that happen? I guarantee you that his parents owned a house in Poughkeepsie and they died and he got to move there. And it's Poughkeepsie. Have you ever been to Poughkeepsie? Have you ever been to Poughkeepsie? The Church of Satan's like leader lives in Poughkeepsie, New York. I could make a video about why joining the Church of Satan in 2020 is lame, and I could just list that fact, right? It's not even fucking peak skill. The peak skill had was the mythical home of the Facts of Life girls. Anyway, 203 to 204, no satanic cults before me. This is his claim in 1966. False as per Hollywood and literature precedences, witches, covens, etc. 1988, 2020 episode. 22 years after the founding. That's me doing the 20-year nostalgia loop, 22-year nostalgia loop. He formed the Church of Satan in 1966. In 1988, there was this 2020 episode. That's really the most historical import of that 2020 episode is that a whole bunch of jerks like young CW chanters saw it and got into Satan. Lee Veltman says, "Is that where Lucian lives?" No, Lucian Graves lives somewhere better. Lucian, see that's the, don't get it confused. The Church of Satan is distinct from the Temple of Satan. Lucian Graves leads the Temple of Satan, which successfully got a statue of Baphomet installed next to the Ten Commandments. Lucian Graves' Temple of Satan does shit. All that Peter H. Gilmore's Church of Satan complains about is the fact that the Temple of Satan isn't legitimate. Why? Because Lucian Graves, first of all, Lucian Graves looks like a Bond villain, right? He's got one fucking eye, and the other eye is this like gray, like weirdo thing. And he's a fairly attractive guy. Whereas Peter H. Gilmore looks like me with white hair. If I'm lying, I'm dying. And a couple of extra pounds. Grew up working in his father's pet store. And his classical music sucks. Chapter 19, he talks about race. Page 212, he talks about the like good things about the police state. And I say rebuttal via Sparta versus Athens. Sparta, which much more resembles what Anton LaVey thinks is a powerful good society, is a historical footnote, right? They were blown away by Persia. Okay? Whereas Athens led to basically all of Western culture. And Athens was open, right? Read the work. There's a great book by Howard Bloom called, I think it's called The Linked Brain or The Networked Brain or I'll have to look it up. Howard Bloom wrote about this. Has talked about the discrepancies between cultures that are Sparta versus cultures that are influenced by Athens, right? North Korea, Sparta, South Korea, Athens, right? This sort of thing. Page 213, bottom communities, despite, oh, wait, hold on. Let me read this to myself to make any sense of it. Okay, I'll have to go back to page 213 of his book, but it looks like I'm referencing the bottom of a paragraph. It says, bottom communities, despite prior lionization of individuals. Oh, he's talking about wanting to form satanic communities, when prior to this, he was talking about lionizing the individual. Plus, he wanted to set up breeding programs, right? Certain people are like satanic and free spirited and powerful. And there's so much fucking subtle racism in the work of Anton LaVey. It's not even fucking funny. It's so clear that while he was in his black house in San Francisco, he was like, black people with their black people music. It's not cultured. It's not good music. It's not music. It doesn't have any harmony or melody or traditional rhythm. And Picasso sucks. And Rembrandt could really paint because his shit looked like the shit it was supposed to look like. So stupid. Lame old men. Lame old men. Anton LaVey, I make fun of you. He should be made fun of. Anton LaVey is a mockable character. Hail Satan! Funny, okay. Breeding programs, fascism and communism lead to the same place society, and I put mine out, meaning that he was acting like communism was so bad. Anyway, page 213. Oh, no, I got that part. Funny connections not made by cues. This is might be one for Lee Veltman. Early involvement. This is potential conspiracy theories regarding the satanic influence of certain things not being picked up by the Q community that should be picked up by the Q community. Funny connections not made by Qs, the QAnon community. The early involvement between Anton LaVey from the Church of Satanism with Zionism, see page 213. Cabal theory, page 214. Also 214, anti-abstract art. Oh my God, like the neo-right Western culture fans. He's anti-expressionist, abstract Anton LaVey was anti-expressionist, abstract expressionist art, right? Sculptures and paintings should look like the things they're supposed to look like. Traditional Western society, with its standards and ideals of aestheticism and beauty, were the best. Then you get this neoliberal, communist, homosexual, and feminist influenced abstract experimentalism, which is just little kids throwing paint on a canvas, and anyone can do it. Whereas it takes a real musical genius to play the toccata in D. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Mickey Mouse wannabe horror movie bullshit culture that is the Church of Satan. Y'all are a fucking joke. Anyway, and here's the other thing about guys and gals into the Church of Satan. We believe in the power of the individual. That's why we all dress exactly the same. Right? I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anton LaVey was into zoot suit and fucking that fucking 1920s culture. So all the little disciples after him dress up in their fucking little zoot suits and their like, greaser 1950s greaser hairstyles and ape that shit. And all the girls have Betty Page bangs, either in black or fire engine red, occasional blonde, and dressing up like this fucking, Uma Sumac kind of homage, Betty Page homage. What a bunch of fucking individuals. Where's this? Okay, here we go. Megalomaniac belief in success, second to last paragraph on page 215. Adidas Samraj like withdrawal, end 215, top of 216. When Anton LaVey's dream of the Church of Satan taking over the world and basically being in opposition to the church, it's there. It's in the biography. It's in the Satanic Bible. Deny it all you want. He fucking failed. When it was obvious that it was a fucking failure, what did this guy do? He retreated into his little house where he read his books, his magazines, and masturbated on fucking sex robot mannequins. Anton LaVey's sex robots, his androids, were mannequins that he did weird, like, kind of lame high school art teacher sculpture to their faces to make them look different. It's sad. It's sad. Megalomania, okay, blah, blah. And that was exactly what Adidas and Mirage did. Page 219, last full paragraph. White man's burden, and wasn't this one of Anton's plus alt-right incel falling down prediction? I'll have to look at page 219. We got to go back and read this thing. Chapter 20, page 20, 222. His daughters as main supports. Note, one turned on him in time. He talks about his daughters being his main support. One of them turned on him. That's the point that I made there. Page 258. These points can be looked at one by one. Part of the analysis reveals the alt-right, aggravated whitey, and the fearful. Those are my notes on Anton LaVey's official biography. Okay? We've been here for 57 minutes. I'll look over here into the live chat. If anyone wants to, let's premise it on if there's anyone in the live chat or viewing who supports Anton LaVey or thinks I'm being too tough on Anton LaVey or my points can be contradicted, please, speak now. And it's not speak now forever, hold your peace. It's just that if there's a debate to be had, feel free to have it. If you put it in all caps, it'll be easier for me to say. Sarah the Major Experiment says, good show, CW. I agree. Most people do. Most mystics worth their salt. Most people who've looked at occult phenomena or have studied, even just, left-hand path, ritual magic, know that like Anton LaVey he's got his place in the history, but it's like when people talk about Alex Jones or David Icke, red pilling them. It's okay if it's the beginning of your journey, but if your journey in awakening begins and ends with Alex Jones or David Icke, there's a problem, right? Spooky writes, I've literally only heard his name a few times. Satanism isn't my cup of tea. And it's not that famous anymore. The Church of Satan has gone the way of the church prophetic. You know what I mean? Or Elizabeth Clare Prophet. He's an also ran. The Feral House books are gonna run out of print. They're gonna run out of print because Adam Parfrey, the publisher of Feral House, died in 2019, I believe, or 2018. Um, and I think they're going to go out of print fairly soon. Jonaside says, I like Anton. He helped as a teen, but you were spot on. 50-year-old Jonaside isn't 16 years old Jonaside. Absolutely. And I think the only reason that I haven't done it is because I don't want to buy another copy. I know that over the course of the years, I've probably bought 3 or 4 copies of the Satanic Bible. It doesn't hold together as a philosophy or a theology. It's just doesn't make any sense in this sense. There's no justification for it. It just becomes a series of proclamations. So, for example, he says, no Satanist, no true Satanist would ever willingly harm a child. That's philosophically, that's not a justifiable statement. You can't prove the veracity or validity of that statement because it's based on a philosophical fallacy and a logical fallacy. The quote unquote no true Scotsman, right? Logical fallacy. No true Satanist. What is a true Satanist? A member of the Church of Satan? You mean you're going to tell me honestly that there's never been a card carrying member of the Church of Satan who did some fucked up shit? Oh, but then they weren't, paying attention to the true satanic ideals. And a satanic ideal, a religious ideal, a moral or ethical promotion or proclamation needs to have a justification why it's wrong, other than Anton LaVey said that you couldn't hurt kids and therefore you can't hurt kids. Fine, I'm happy that he said don't hurt kids. I'm not for the hurting of kids, but you get it. Hopefully. Stephen Ronan writes, see, Laura Loomer won her district in Florida last night. I didn't even know she was running for office. Jet Petty writes, I'll play devil's advocate. Interesting. LaVey was an actor showman who mythologized his life like many actors showmen do. Yeah, and that's lame, right? And many actors and showmen, mythologize their lives to a degree. But if it's all mythology, then it's lame. And you're lying about your biography. And if you're lying about your biography, you're a sad loser who lies. And if you actually did shit with your life, you're awesome. Hello to Leo Marvin. Oh, Leo Marvin writes, Loomer won a primary. Holy shit. Jason Butler says, did Anton LaVey's cult serve to divert and downplay satanic ritual abuse? Question mark. Were there links with intelligence, MK Ultra, etc., and serial killers performing hits, SRA, satanic ritual beats? No, there were no connections between the Church of Satan that I'm aware of and any sort of official CIA or MK Ultra program, though Anton LaVey's second in command for many years was Colonel Michael Aquino, who actually did serve in the military, was one of the main authors of their psychological warfare philosophy and teachings. And there's allegations that he abused children, though I think those allegations are unfounded. I'll tell you, Jason Butler, to be completely honest with you, I'm not saying that there's never been anyone that's been ritually abused by an individual or individuals that would define themselves as satanic, but the satanic ritual abuse phenomena, as it's classically understood, is something that I don't believe in. I don't believe in the existence of satanic ritual abuse, and I'm being honest with you, okay? Because because I'm honest to the degree that I can. Lee Veltman says the Zodiac Killer and the Manson family stuff does connect that stuff. We know that one member or one or two members of Manson's girls had also been in some sort of satanic review, like a stage show with Anton LaVey. So there's technically a Manson connection there, though I believe that's attenuated, and I don't think it's the type that the previous questioner was talking about. So I didn't go into it, or I didn't emphasize that, but it is there. As far as the Zodiac killer, my knowledge and information regarding research on the Zodiac killer is too faint for me to posit a link or connection. Stephen Ronan, Laura Loomer's not going to win. Mind War, yes. Jason Butler, Black Dahlia. Black Dahlia would have come before Anton LaVey's Church of Satan, which was founded in 1966. Susan Atkins, I believe that was the woman who was the stripper. That was both the Manson girl and associated knew Anton LaVey and appeared in a like a sideshow that he did. But the connection is not that great. He doesn't really claim to know her. Stephen Ronan writes, very cynical at CW Chanter. Now, cynicism, an informed opinion regarding Laura Loomer's prospect of winning in Florida is not cynical. It's informed. Do you like Laura Loomer? Do you think she should? You think she should win? You support her? You a Loomer? God bless you, kid. Topless review. Thank you, Genocide. Lee Velman, Lee Velman puts a contrary opinion. Lol, I actually think Laura Loomer is going to win with all the free press she is getting, but that will be interesting to see it play out. It will be. It will be. Postnian says, why are we hearing more about satanic ritual abuse now? At Stephen, same reason why Q supporters believe in the mole children. Stephen Ronan, well, did you ever see her winning the primary? You know what? Fair point. I wouldn't have imagined that. But there are other Q supporters that are going to win, just like other Tea Party people win. You know what I mean? Jackasses get elected, true. Spooky writes, CW, did you ever read Ender Games? Seems like 20-year loop of Star Trek TOS. I don't know. I'd have to look at it. Stephen Rona says, I'm not a Q supporter. Doesn't answer any questions. That's fine. The original series. Oh, the original series. Interesting. I'd have to read it. I think, what was an Ender's Game written by Orson Scott Card? And they made a movie about it. It'd be interesting to see the timeline of when the movie was made and when the show originally aired. Stephen Ronan, given his love for Milo. Orson Scott Card. There you go. Orson Scott Card is a devout and practicing Mormon. So it's my understanding that if you really want to understand Orson Scott's Card's novels, that really it's good to know and understand his links and the theology and cosmology of the Church of Latter-day Saints, interestingly enough. There you go. Spooky writes, the sequel books are incredible too. And it's on my to-do list. You know, Ender's Game cycle is on my to-do list of things to read before I'm dead. But anyway, we're far afield of our initial topic of conversation. I wish you all the best. I love you. I love you. I love you. If no one told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That's somebody CW Chanter. May I not run afoul of any satanic curses. And then he stubbed his toe. Ha ha ha. Got you, CW. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Jason Butler says, is DID, dissociative identity disorder, a real phenomena? Could there not be parallels with MK Ultra mind control experiments along with SRA? I'll leave that to the professionals. Like I said, I've made my statements about. I've made my succinct and honest belief about satanic ritual abuse known. The multiple personality stuff, it is what it is. And what it is that I love you. So there you go. So I love you, I love you, I love you, and I'll talk to y'all again real soon. Thank you for joining into this discussion. Feel free to tell me in the comment section below which quotes, which notes, which aspects of the critique you thought were most interesting and you would like to see maybe handled in its own more fleshed out and researched show. Okay? And until next time, I'll talk to you next time.